Test, test. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat before I start the show. New tech going on here, so I want to make sure it works before I get it going. Please let me know if you can hear me. Press it. Give me a 1.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's old. That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
No, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still running with Trump too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room. I think so.
Hearts and minds. Hearts and minds this.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became an anchor baby. You don't call him an anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here at noon. I will be doing this daily. Welcome to the new show just dropped. New name. I'm leaning in hard to the Anchor Baby theme. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you. I'm seeing you in the chat. This is awesome. You can hear me. I think it's stereo. I think the system's working. I'm doing this solo. No board operator. Got some snazzy equipment. Let me know if you can. Oh, echo. We hear an echo. See, that's not good. Okay, y'all. Let me know if there's still an echo. Hopefully it's fixed now. I think I figured it out on the fly. Test, test, test. Give me a 1. Give me a 1 if it's working. Okay, y'all? I think it is. Hit me up. Let me know. I know we're on delay. We're figuring it out. We're figuring it out for the first show here in the studio. Nice. Good now, huh? Much better. Right on. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Audio left ear only. Darn. I'm going to have to just keep going like this because I have no clue how to fix that. Okay, but it's working. You can hear me. I know you could take off one headphone and keep doing your work or keep having your lunch. It's noon here. It's probably later for some people. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out this audio because it's the first show. But listen, it's the American Anchor Baby. Isn't that nice? The American Anchor Baby, new name of the channel, leaning into the name. It's offensive. It's provocative. Okay, it's great for multiple reasons. It gets the people going, right? You'd be surprised how many people don't want to say that word. You know how hard it was to get a voice actor to say Anchor Baby? Paid people, look, paid professionals. You pay them to say something. They're like, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying that word. So that was difficult. But on the other side, it's like, how is an Anchor Baby American? How is that even? That's an oxymoron, no? How can an Anchor Baby be American? They're most definitely not. They are children of invaders, if you want to be specific. Right, 14th Amendment and all that. That's how I got my citizenship. That's how I'm an American Anchor Baby. 14th Amendment. It wasn't designed for people like me. It wasn't designed to give citizenship to, Hondurans and people just coming into and having babies in public hospitals? No. It was designed to give citizenship to the freed slaves. So I love the name. I think it's great on both sides. JS Urban Adventures in the chat says, you could have had AI Trump say Anchor Baby. I did. You might have missed it in the little intro. I got AI. I'd used AI to make Trump say, we like this Anchor Baby, right? I couldn't quite make it sound totally like Trump, but it's the best I could do. We like this Anchor Baby, right? That's super cool that you're all here, though. And I'm going to get to your super chats, and I'm going to get to your calls. You can call in. It's 888-775-3773. When I'm in this studio, I'm using the JLP number. So you can call in 888-775-3773. And before we get started here, drop a like, share the stream, subscribe to the channel, hit me up on Twitter, Gorgonzola. I'm not quite active just yet there, but with the new drop of the show, it's a whole media operation that's about to drop, okay? We got podcasts coming. And Great Bowls of Fire says, oh no, I like Nick's stream. Sounds like Nick's dream. Don't worry. We're still Nick's streaming. We're going to be doing this daily show here from the studio in the part of the Bond Network, keeping that going. But also, we'll still be doing the Nick stream. So follow me on Twitter, where I'll start to be more active and announce when I'll be doing something like a Nick stream like a kind of Nick stream show. And you can join me, same channel, and we'll still take a flight. We'll do our thing, take a flight, blah, blah, blah. And so don't worry, we're still doing all that. But this is the daily show. This is the daily show, and we're in it. And it's just awesome. Okay, I'm very grateful. Nick's dropping an operation. Very cool. So, like I already told you to share, follow, Twitter, da-da-da. Let me jump into the show. Because we're talking about a couple of things, okay? Emperor Trump is going to deport them all. And it fits a little bit with the Anchor Baby talk. Nice. Okay, sorry, I keep reading chat, but it fits with the Anchor Baby talk. And there's stuff going on. Okay, there's stuff going down. In fact, Trump was recently speaking at this NRA thing over the weekend. A lot of things happened over the weekend, okay? It all fits. A lot of things happened over the weekend. Depravity on display. But Trump was speaking at this NRA thing. And I got this from the World Socialist website. Imagine that. There's a worldsocialistwebsite.org. And Trump, in this, he promised if he was reelected, he would utilize all necessary state, federal, local, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. Whew. I mean, that sounds so like authoritarian, like militant, but it's kind of exciting. Can you turn up your mic? I can barely hear you, and I'm turned all the way up. Darn. Test. It looks all loud over here. This is the best I'm going to do for this one, y'all. This is the best I'm going to do for this show. Maybe rotate your phone. But anyways, this is the best we're going to do. We're going to figure it out, though, for the daily show. We're figuring out the whole studio so that the different hosts can run the show like as a one-man operation without needing a board at all times. But there's still some things that has to be figured out, okay? So thanks for the patience. Hopefully you can at least hear me, and we'll keep going just like this. So American Anchor Baby. What is that even? How can you be an American Anchor Baby? Well, you may have heard me talk about this before, about the spirit of being an American. And you can catch my past live streams where I talk more at length about that. But there's many people here who are not American in spirit, in what's the word? Not progeny, but in descendants and ancestry, if you will, and many things. And it's causing confusion, it's causing chaos, it's causing rifts in the country to a very large degree, to the point that you can't continue this way. It's really not possible. Is there a non-American Anchor Baby show? Probably a whole bunch. But I have the heart of an American. Anyways. Yes, welcome to the JLP Network. What's up, Big Bump? What's up, everybody in chat? I usually say hi to everybody, but this isn't Nick Stream. This is the Daily Show. So let's get right to it. And so I'm talking about Trump here at the NRA. And my little Stream Deck thing just fizzled out. The thing that I used to control the show. Oh, no. What a mess. Tech mess. But it's okay. As long as you can see and hear me, it's no big deal. I had a clip, basically. I was going to just throw it up. And it's Trump at this thing, and he's talking about many things at this NRA conference, okay? And the first one, just because it fits the Anchor Baby thing, he's talking about the largest domestic deportation operation, right? Like, you don't hear leaders get up on stage and say bold things like that. And this is the Trump we know, right, from 2016 and all that. Bold. I may have seen that he may have said something like this like a month ago. This was the first time I saw it yesterday in the news. And in this clip, he says mentally ill people are coming over the border, that their countries in South America and other places they are emptying out their prisons. They're emptying out their asylums and sending them here. So he talks about mentally ill people coming this way. He also talks about how we allowed it to happen. And he says that a few times, that it was allowed to happen. It's quite interesting and poignant to the show that I want to talk about today. And it's also an existential threat that it cannot continue like this. It just cannot. It's just so true. The things that we've allowed to happen. I mean, look at our own lives and what we allow. and what we've let go. People let themselves go, right? You've heard that. Oh, man, he let himself go. And that happens to a whole nation, okay? That happens first at the individual level. And, he goes on this thing about, like, using all necessary state, federal resources to carry out this domestic deportation operation. I mean, he doesn't go far enough, in my opinion. You got to fix that 14th Amendment, okay? No more anchor babies, okay? Join the anti-anchor baby club with me. If you're an anchor baby, you might want to join up with me. But anyways, I'm playing around, but it's still kind of serious. But one thing at a time, right? Let's deal with the deportations. Maybe we could deal with 14th Amendment next. And then retroactively remove citizenships. Or maybe that's too far. But sounding strong, really, in my opinion. Sounding like a Trump that I remember. And so he also says a couple of interesting things in this NRA thing he did. He talks about how they want to demonize patriots and persecute Christians while pushing the transgender cult on your children. And we've seen this. We've seen politicized DOJ going after Christians in a sense. I mean, we just saw the Biden DOJ recommending no jail time for vandalism of churches, which seems to just go fly in the face of their normal tactics to crack down on hate speech and things like that. It's a one-sided thing, as some of us already know. But if you're not, there's people I talk to all the time. They're not paying attention. They don't really realize these things. He later promised he would direct the Food and Drug Administration to convene an independent outside panel to investigate whether transgender hormone treatments increase the risk of extreme depression, aggression, and violence. Can we get a panel to look into all antidepressants? Can we get a panel to look into all the drugs and even non-drug things, just therapists? Maybe that's too much. Maybe that's there's a fiscal block in that sense. It's just too expensive. But you got to think about what they're pumping these drugs into these transgender people, messing with their hormones. And yeah, so there's that focus on that. But it's kind of been happening. It's been, can I say, decades of drugs, SSRIs, antidepressants, of forever physiologically changing compounds and chemicals, and brain altering substances, legally prescribed brain altering substances. Can we get a panel to look into all of that? Because it's been just an increase over and over and over again, year after year, of these drugs and therapies, and it just seems to be getting crazier. It seems like everything is just getting crazier and more depraved. He goes on and he says, he talks about the guns as well. I mean, he's at the NRA thing, right? Talking about it's not too many guns, right? He's saying the issue is not too many guns. He says the issue is too many thugs, hoodlums, and savage criminals on our street. Whoa. Is that a racial dog whistle? No. But I mean, he's right about that as well. And then it goes on, this article from the World Socialist website, okay? It says that it's an appeal to, he appeals to anti-Semitism, right? Saying Trump pledged to have the Department of Justice investigate Soros-backed district attorneys who hate our country. So, see, anti-Semitism is a socialist word, okay? Just to put that in your back pocket. But anyways, on the gun thing, because it fits kind of like the rest I want to talk about and what happened over the weekend and what's really been happening. He says it's a scandal and a tragedy that year after year Democrats in Washington continue to hold common sense school safety measures hostage to their radical gun control agenda, which in virtually all cases would do nothing to prevent attacks by demented and disturbed individuals. Demented and disturbed individuals. Isn't that just a common sense description of what's going on with people. This is not a gun problem, he says. This is a mental health problem. This is a social problem, a cultural problem, and a spiritual problem. It truly is, okay? And we saw people are talking about it. You heard it on the JLP show. It's on Fox. It's on the news. It's the news site. It's the cycle for the week, maybe. This depravity that we saw on display over the weekend, a shooting in Alabama. And we don't really know, as far as I know, maybe there's some update, but from what I could tell, there's no information on the assailant. 4 killed, 28 injured at an Alabama birthday party. Gunfire erupted at a Sweet 16 birthday party in the heart of Dadeville, killing 4, injuring 28. We saw the Chicago riots, right? We saw just teens, they call it teens wildin', just wildin' teens. No real reason, rhyme or reason other than it's a Saturday in Chicago. The transgender shooting in Tennessee before that. But here's the thing, though. This happens all the time. Chicago, for example, this is a weekend occurrence. Maybe not the teen wilding, maybe not to that level. But this is a weekend occurrence, okay? This has been happening for years, okay? All the time, allowed to happen, like Trump said. We allowed it to happen. And we've been allowing it to happen. It's not just this weekend. Oh, this Chicago. What? No, this is like every weekend. Deaths, murders. This depravity has been festering, and you never hear anyone talk about true solutions, right? The family, and who's raising these wilding teens. We've seen craziness happen. Like just recently, you may have missed it. I'm gonna fill in the blanks for the Bond network of stuff that hasn't been reported, but that Target reparations lady, there was some black lady in Target, and she demanded reparations for her grocery bill, which I believe was something like a crazy amount, like $1,000 of groceries. So I could be wrong about that, but this lady at Target, some of you may have seen it. I'm not going to show the clip. She's demanding these reparations, and then they're not understanding. Like, what do you mean? Call us in the morning if you want a donation. And she ends up following a man into the back area, the offices, and this man strikes her. He knocks her right in the face, okay? He's like, hey, back up. She's aggressive, demanding her reparations and all that. Bow, right in the face. Cops come and they tell her, like, she was wrong for this. Like, no, we're not going to arrest this guy. You went into his area, his space. And it's a ridiculous story, right? Like, I'm not bringing that up to say, look, Target's going to end up doing reparations. I mean, it might, but it's more to say how psycho-spiritually ill people are. You have to be crazy to do that. Or brainwashed by the common vernacular. That's like in everyday life. That's just it's just an accepted belief that blacks are oppressed, that they deserve reparations or deserve this or that. And that same kind of psycho-spiritual illness is actually expressed to a extreme level in these let's say communities of people, transgender, et cetera, et cetera. But it really is like that in a lot of people, and most people. Blaming. You heard a lot about blaming on the JLP show today. About blaming and thinking you're owed something, deserve something. You expect things of people. Expecting things of people. And so this has been festering. It's like not... It sounds fresh sometimes talking about it when it's on the news cycle. But it's the same. It's really just been this way. And so it's really wild to think about. So we saw this depravity over the weekend. And it's the same justification, appeasement of the ego coming down from leaders. That Chicago mayor, they just elected this guy, right? Brandon Johnson, saying it's not constructive to demonize youth starved of opportunities. It's not their fault. They're just out there while they smash cars and stuff, okay? There's a report they beat up a man in a car. What's the rhyme or reason behind that? Not constructed to don't demonize them. They're starved of opportunities. But think about it. That's why they elect people like this. You heard them, even people in Chicago, they were decrying the actions of the one from the lady from before, Lori Lightfoot, that they want safer communities. This is crazy, no. But they don't really want safer communities. They don't really want change because they don't really want to change themselves. They are unwilling to change. Look at how people are unwilling to change. They would rather an appeasement of the ego. And so this insanity, depravity, etc., has just been on display. That's just the new normal. The Mr. Beast, you may not know about this. Again, here I'm filling in the blanks on stuff hasn't been reported on the Bond Network. You may have heard of this Mr. Beast guy. Mr. Beast is, I think, quite literally the biggest YouTuber of all time. We're talking numbers that primetime television would wish they had. Okay? They would wish to get the numbers this guy gets. A lot of young people watch him too. Well, recently, one of his business partners who's on the channel all the time, this man named Chris. Oh no, I forgot his name. Chris, Mr. Beast. Good thing I have a computer in front of me. Chris Tyson. Okay, this is a married man with children. Comes out and says, I'm taking hormones. I'm a transgender, etc., etc. And I don't know too much about his personal life and what's going to happen with his marriage, but this is a man who has children. And the Mr. Beast thing, this biggest channel ever, he's going along with it. Going along with it, not willing to change, not willing to challenge the status quo, not willing to challenge what he's got going on. And that's everybody. That's how everybody is. It's just crazy. So anyways, all this has been festering. And no solutions, right? No real solutions talked about. No real solutions. It's always more of the same, more drugs. Think about how they just legalize anything. They'll legalize these things to get people through the day, to get people through. That's what SSRIs are. That's what these antidepressants are. It's a drug to get you through the day. Instead of a look into the root causes. Why are you doing what you do? Why are you having the problems that you have? So all this to say what? I mean, just to say how this has been like this. It's nothing to get that shock and awe feeling from. Because this is the cycle, and it is a cycle. The something happens in society, the conservatives, they see it, they call it crazy. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. Here I am signal boosting all this depravity. But they call it crazy, and it becomes normal. And it's a losing fight. It's a losing fight. And so that's what's been going on. That was this weekend. That was even before that. And check this out, because I just came across this person on Twitter. And it's just so emblematic of the prevailing spirit and prevailing thought process that is, making these things worse. There's this woman on Twitter. I wish I could show you. Too bad my little Stream Deck thing didn't work. It's okay. But this woman on Twitter, okay, Hillary Agro. Hillary Agro. She's an anthropology PhD candidate, okay? This is what the PhD holders have to say about what I'm talking about. This is what they have to say. Anyways, this Hillary Agro calls herself a rave mom on Twitter. Organize, decolonize, plus abolish billionaires. From Toronto, Ontario. There you go. You may not know I'm an American anchor baby that grew up in Canada. And Toronto, it's a clean city because it's so new in comparison to other cities. But it's on that path. It's on that path to down the dumps. Like most American cities seem to be that now, right? I haven't been to all of them, but I see the news, I see all the stuff, and it seems like every city he's got just, it's like a nationwide thing. Homeless, drug addiction, crime. And so I'm not surprised that this Canadian PhD candidate is talking the way she does. And what does she have to say about all this? Maybe not specifically what I'm talking about, but she retweeted this little thing here. It was this Twitter conversation here from this Michelle Tandler. I don't know who that is. And she says, theoretically, if publicly hanging, say, 5 fentanyl dealers led to saving the lives of hundreds, is it morally reasonable? She's starting this discussion on Twitter. So she's talking about these fentanyl dealers and all that. And Hillary Agro, she says, this kind of violent rhetoric against drug workers is abhorrent. and you'll read her little spiel and miss that. You could totally miss that she started it off by calling them drug workers. Most fentanyl sellers are people who use it as well, and they are trying to survive under the same destructive, racist system that replaced opium with morphine, then heroin, etc. It's just, and you know what this is, right? This is more of the left name calling to silence. Okay, you're a bigot. You can't say drug dealer. You can't say criminal. That's a drug worker, you bigot. And what's crazy about these legalize it people, these legalize it types, is they live in bubbles, honestly. They live in a bubble. They maybe trip on drugs themselves or something. They do their own thing, but they live in a bubble. They live fine in areas that are nice. They don't see what's really going down. And you search this term, drug worker, on Twitter, and it's women who are, you'll see a lot of people using the term and deriding it, but you'll see the people that are using it correctly. It's women. Women love that. Women love that. Appeasement of the ego. Really, all people do. Clearly. So conservatives laughing it off, though, like the way I am, I guess. It's going to become in the normalized lexicon. Until we do a wholesale rejection of the new religion that's come about, that term is on its way into the lexicon. Mark my words. This word, I mean, it came from what? It came from sex worker. They misuse that word as well. They call it, it's not prostitution, it's sex work. It's not work. It's selling something that's not even yours. Your body is not your own. It's a gift, right? It's a gift from God. It's prostitution. They already have a name for that. And they mix it up with the word like, oh, skilled labor. They call things skilled labor. And then they'll show you a video of some like Chinese factory worker doing some admittedly talented thing. I think sometimes they'll do some menial task, but very quickly. It's like, wow, that's talented, but you're moving things. That's not skilled work. That's not drug work. That's not sex work. It's more justification of wrong, which is evil. It's evil to the so-called drug workers. It's evil to the sex workers or whatever. It's evil to them. When you can't call things for what they are, you stay in that illusion. And it's this illusion, it's this deceptive world. And I imagine, and maybe it's always been like this since like Bible times. But this is my reality that I'm living. And I've seen it get so crazy so quick. And so it's just evil, keeping them in that deception. And we're seeing now, like, you know, they're calling out this transgender violence and all that. But it's demented. It's demented. Like Trump said, it's demented people. Demented, deranged people. I'm typing a note here. That's cool that I have the studio here. It's pretty nice. Thanks. Thank you, Sean, and everybody helping me out here. So anyways, I'm ranting here. I'm ranting here about this crazy stuff. And I just wanted to point out that deception. And I want to get into something here I want to discuss, because that's what's happening, right? But why? And my little take on that, what's happening to the country at large and what's happening with me. Because I learned a couple things this week. I've been paying attention to myself. This is the Bond Network, where we do that work, where we do that inner work, we do that individual self-work, okay? And I want to talk about that. And I want to get your thoughts on it, on this little topic, my little topic that I'm going to bring up. Because apparently conservatives are happier than liberals, okay? Liberals, progressives are out there offing themselves. Is that too spicy for YouTube? They're out there ixnaying themselves. You know what I'm saying? Really, suicide is, and there I go saying the word. Really, suicide has been on the rise. But very fascinating info here from the New York Times, and I want to get into this, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. But before that, let me take a call. Let me take a quick call here. Make sure everything's going here. I hope everything's working. And it seems like you can totally hear me. I might be only coming in one side of the ear, but we'll get that figured out. Someone said in the chat, wow, a real show. Welcome. Yeah, it's the American Anchor Baby Show. So let me take Mark from Los Angeles here. I think he wants to talk about this, maybe other things. Mark, Los Angeles, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. First of all, I love your new format.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You know, and it's, the only thing is...
Are you on speakerphone? Or maybe, I don't want to ruin anything here. Sean probably fixed it, but maybe I'm hearing it funny because of my own technical issues. Just, if you're on speakerphone, just make sure you're not.
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's actually a lot better. Okay, so thanks.
Oh.
You were saying?
Yeah, first, your new format is great. Secondly, well, this is just a, what do you call it? Like a good criticism.
Please.
And that would be, you should show that Confederate flag, but...
Oh, yeah, no. No, that's not even... I have no problem with that at all. It's not my laptop. This is James' laptop, and until I get it... When we get the studio going right, I'm not going to have to bum around and use his laptop. But I have no problem with the Confederate flag.
Yeah, okay, well...
Maybe it's like... Maybe I should ask. Maybe I should ask the Bond Network boss before I do something like that, though, because I don't know if that's what we want to do, but... I personally have no issue with the Confederate flag.
Okay. Well, the reason for my call was I wanted to get your take on the Republicans going over to New York and exposing Bragg and the crime. I've been watching it on YouTube. They've had witnesses whose family members have been virtually, in some cases, beaten to death.
Wow.
On the streets with people filming it, and nobody's, if they're going to jail, they may get a year. I mean, you know, this one black lady was talking about her son who was in Afghanistan. He came home in Harlem, where they lived, and 3 or 4 gangbangers, for no reason, beat him to death. And Bragg was not the DA at the time. The other guy, I can't think of his name, he was going to pursue this to the max. Then when Bragg took over, it took 5 years. The incident happened in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Bragg got in there, he basically lowered the charges. And I think the most anybody got was like a year in jail. And some of those 4 people are walking the streets of Harlem like nothing. And I just basically wanted to get your take on how the Republicans are handling it and what your thoughts on Bragg is.
So is this the correct story here? House GOP releases anti-Bragg video portraying NYC as crime-ridden hellhole, basically, so they're going after Bragg?
Yes.
I'm not aware of the story, but I can comment on what you're saying. And here's the thing that I bet you a lot of you viewers do realize this, but maybe many don't. But what people don't realize is that the way to subvert and I guess you can use the word destroy but basically subdue a nation. The methodology to do that has already been figured out. Okay, that's an already known thing. That's not a work in progress. Okay, and what I'm getting at here is that this, and it's been perfected by intelligence agencies around the world, even our own very, very patriotic, three-letter agencies, FBI, CIA. But it's been already figured out how to subdue and subvert a nation, okay? And to demoralize them and bring about chaos is to do that. Now, is that what Alvin Bragg is doing? I can't really say for sure, but I've heard about connections with George Soros and things like that. But what people may not understand is that that's an already known blueprint. Okay, subverting a nation requires demoralizing a nation over a couple generations, lying to them and brainwashing them, taking away their their any sort of national identity, and calling wrong good. Okay, is Alvin Bragg a agent for this division, chaos, and destruction? I can't be totally sure, but when a district attorney who's charged, a public servant charged with their job is to deal with the crime and prosecute, thank you. And they do the very opposite. I can't see it any other way than a compromised asset in the New York government. Okay.
Well, I think yes, I agree. Now you have to remember there's a commonality in all these corrupt DAs across the country. Gascon here in L.A., Bragg in New York, this lady, if you want to call her that, in Atlanta that's trying to go after Trump.
Exactly.
All these DAs are funded by Soros. And they know that if they can get communists or progressives, whatever, to be DAs, crime is just going to go out of control, and no one will want to own a business downtown, in the downtown areas of these blue cities. The cops are being demoralized. These arrogant BLM types are running the streets. Antifa threatens anybody that's conservative. And there was a time when the cops would protect free speech of conservatives. But now they're political as well, and they don't want to get involved. I'll give you a great example. The mayor of New York, Adams, he's a disgrace, and he was a former cop. He politicked, or he ran on being tough on crime, and he's got Alvin Bragg's back. He's as evil and as far to the left as Bragg. And
totally.
This is the problem.
No, totally. But there were signs. Before he was elected, it was a known thing that, and maybe I shouldn't expect that every voter in New York to have known this, but when you're voting, I guess you should be informed. But there were signs. Like, wasn't Adams part of this 100 black officers? Something, this part of this group, 100 black officers in New York. He was part of this group. And it was called 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care, an American New York City-based advocacy group which focused on fighting injustices between the African American community and their interactions with the NYPD. There's signs on all these things, but people, like I was saying, they don't want to change. They like, I think a part of them may like the wild New York. Not when the crime hits them, but when the fact that they can do anything, you can just walk around, maybe smoke pot. You know what I'm saying? I think the part of them likes that.
Well, what it is, I think there's a underlying message in all this. I think it's attack Whitey. If you're a black criminal in New York, you can go after Whitey, and they're not going to do much, if anything.
That's another component. Yeah, that's another component of the division and the blueprint on how to subvert nations. You choose, you pick rifts that already exist either naturally because of race or whatever, and you just start wedging it. You just start creating a larger and larger divide. Divide and conquer. It's a known tactic. That's what I'm trying to say here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's been figured out.
What do you think of that mayor of Chicago, the new guy? He's
I was
like
just talking about him.
Communist. Huh?
I was just talking about him, and I don't know. He's saying don't demonize these. You saw those riots in Chicago over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's saying don't demonize the youth because they're starved of opportunities, and so it's more of the justification and appeasement of the ego.
It's evil. I mean, are there going to be any whites left in Chicago after this clown, or New York? If I was white and I lived in those cities, I'd be out of there in a heartbeat.
I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah, we're forced to pay for our own destruction, whether it's at the border, where Biden is forcing taxpayers to resettle these criminals all across the U.S. so that they could vote for the Democrats.
And there's also another.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when that happens.
Yeah, no, and I think that eventually, and this is just my opinion, I think if they continue to leave the border open and the whites finally become a minority, which is what so many criminals and communists want, then I believe personally that they're going to try to genocide us. Look at what happened in South Africa. South Africa, the whites are in danger all the time. They're going for their property. They're going for their farms. They're raping. They're killing. I don't see how that's going to be any different in this country. The only thing that keeps that from happening here is that we are still a majority.
Right.
And that does make a difference. But at this point, I'll be honest with you, even if Donald Trump gets reelected, which I hope and pray that he does, I don't know if he could reverse this evil. You know, he could probably close up the border, but heck, there's already, 5 million of them that have broken in?
Well, if he does that, if he does this, what he's calling the largest deportation operation in American history, if he goes through with that, I mean, that's a pretty good thing already. You got to understand that a large component of this whole open borders thing is in my opinion, a demographic change. It's a concerted effort to change the demographics, and really ultimately, because it's just been history. I mean, time has proven in just recent history has proven that large changes in demographics change voting patterns. I mean, that's a thing that's been openly talked about by Democrats. In Georgia, in the 2018 midterms, they talked about how they Democrats there were lauding their efforts in changing demographics there and how it changed voting patterns. So they talk about it openly.
But you know, I'm pretty sure you saw what Tucker Carlson said last week or whenever Hake played it, where he doesn't believe in having a white leader.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard the man say.
Really?
I love him. Oh, yeah, that's disgusting. He doesn't think we should have a white leader. Why not? The blacks have their leaders. The Mexicans have
But why do you want to be like
leaders.
them?
Well,
I understand. Look, I have this understanding of what white people are going through in a sense. I almost don't even want to say that because it sounds victim-y. But you can I can understand that, but that doesn't mean you got to turn away from the principles that made Christians and white people the way they were in America. And I'm not probably expressing myself well here, but it seems like this whole thing, what's going on with the crime, with what you're bringing up, with the the attack on Whitey, like you said, it seems like it's so easy to respond to all that with to fight fire with fire, if you will, to respond to the blacks with your own white leader and whiteness. And that is, in my opinion, is such a trap. In my opinion, that is a trap because you're in an instant, you're in that very moment, you're giving up your individuality, your agency, and in that very moment, you're also giving up you're you're just in the mud with them, right? You're just getting rid of all the things that made America America.
Well, okay, first of all, in a sense, you could say that Trump does represent the interests of the white majority, although he's not a racist at all.
But he doesn't do it because it's white, in my opinion. He does it because it's right.
I agree.
Because it's the right thing. It's not, and so you got to understand that you got to understand that that bedrock philosophy. In my opinion, it's not because he's not doing that because it's white. He does it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And if you let go of that bedrock, then what do you have? You're no different than the Antifa, the racist, the anti-white people that you're talking about.
But can you imagine for a minute if there was a white minority in, let's say, the Congo, and they called the black people there, racist names and threatened to tear down their society and did all the things that the blacks are doing here, how long do you think they would last? How long do you think they would last? The only thing that's saving us right now, Nick, is the fact that we're still a majority.
I think
Whether we have a white leader or not, I don't know how else we're going to get out of this.
I don't think you're exactly wrong, but I think you can understand. I think you can see the situation and see where it might end up. Like, oh, this looks like South Africa, the beginnings of it, and yet at the same time understand that that's not happening right now. Right now, that's not happening. So, what'd you say?
Well, the white people are still the majority race in America. So it's not able, I don't think they're quite able, although they gave it a good shot in 2020 with George Floyd. I think had they been a majority, if the black people were the majority in America, and something like George Floyd or Rodney King or any of that were to happen again, I think it'd be an all-out race war, and they would try to genocide us. And I think if you talk to some of them, like these characters that call in the hate, these Hebrews, they're all, I don't know about all the ones I hear are white haters.
They sound pretty nasty sometimes.
Pardon me?
They can be pretty nasty sometimes.
Yeah, but they don't even deny it. I can't remember the names.
Totally.
But, yeah, this one clown, that's one of those Hebrews, he calls in and says, yeah, we're going to make you slaves. Of course, he'd have to do that over my dead body and millions of other whites, but this is what these evil demons are thinking. This is what they are. They're not Christian. They're not Christian in any way.
That's for sure. They're not Christian.
No, but I mean, they're not even Hebrews. I mean, they're phonies. Really, that's just a fake. They dress up hatred for the white man in a religion. It's hate whitey dressed up as a religion. That's all it is. I had more respect for Farrakhan and the black Muslims than I had for these clowns.
But you got to understand. No, I mean, I don't even think you're exactly wrong. It's just, as a Christian, you're saying they're not Christian, but I think you can't respond like they respond. You're a Christian, right? Are you a Christian?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Catholic.
So then you understand how lost and deceived people are, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Because
mostly, yeah.
Yeah, that's all. No, that's all.
I was just going to say, most of the confusion and the self-hate is with the whites. I read recently where only something like 15% of white people considered their race as a part of their identity. With black people, it was like 90%.
That's a white thing, though.
Like 80.
That's such a white. That's such a like. I don't know how else to describe it, but such a white way of thinking where it's not your skin color. It's your character. That probably points to the fact that more whites often than not are Christian. That's kind of a Christian thing as well. It's not about your skin color. So you can't. That's not a. I'm not surprised to hear what you're saying. That only 15%, etc.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a fact.
And is that
They
such
hate
a bad thing?
themselves.
Like that's something I admire about them.
That they don't.
I wouldn't want them to
identify-
lose that, yet at the same time understand the reality of their situation.
Well, the reality is we're in trouble as a race. That's really the reality. Is with the race mixing and the half-breeds that are being brought up and raised with white girls, and the immigration,
The anchor
and
babies.
the murder of whites. We're in a tough spot.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark. Well, don't lose any. What's the word? Have you called my show
Faith.
before? You called Nick Stream, and you said,
Yeah.
"Oh, it scares you." Don't.
Yeah, it does.
If it does, don't show it. Keep
Well,
it to
no, of
yourself,
course
and it's
No.
not. It's really no. Like I can't. I know it's crazy. I see a lot of crazy things happening, but I don't find that. I don't feel that fear over the politics, over the things I see in the news. I would rather. This is what's crazy about the ego. I would rather World War III happen sometimes. I'd rather World War III happen than have people look at me the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
that's
Yeah, no, I
that's what
agree.
we really have to deal with. So I don't really have a fear about those things, and I don't think you should
Well,
either.
let me ask you, Nick,
Because
are you
there's
still
things you
gonna be
can't
on-
control, right? When it's out of your control. I mean, think about it. If it's out of your control,
I know.
why feel fear?
All I could do is vote and donate. But
Totally.
I wanted to ask you before I forget. Are you still
Sure.
on
Last
Friday
thing
night?
here before I move on. Go ahead.
Sure. Are you still on Friday nights?
So I'm doing this daily at noon, and then if I get a wild hair, I'll announce it and be like, "Hey, we're taking a flight. We're doing the Nick Stream thing," and sometimes it'll be more than Fridays. But you'll have to follow me here and on Twitter to find out when I do things like that.
Okay, but for now you'll be doing noon to what, 3?
To noon till there's no really end time here. I'm thinking mostly just an hour. Maybe sometimes I'll go farther. When when we start getting more hosts on the Bond Network, I might have to be a little bit more timely with this. But for now, it's kind of like whenever I want.
Well, I'll just say I appreciate you, and it's always good to talk to you, Nick. I'll be in touch.
Pleasure, Mark. Thanks you for your call.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Right on. Okay. Crazy stuff. I mean, it's in my opinion, there's no point in feeling fearful about it. But this kind of segues into what I want to say about society at large and some kind of thoughts I've had recently about people, society. And so let me get through this, and then I'll take your calls. 888-775-3773. I'm using the JLP number when I'm in the studio. Pretty nice. So I wanted to say this about people and about myself. And I want to get your take, as well as I'll also take the calls that are already on hold. There was this fascinating thing on conservatives and liberals. Okay, New York Times, the conservatives are happier than liberals. Pretty fascinating. You can check it out. And just a couple excerpts here from that article. Conservatives are more satisfied with their lives in general, in specific domains, marriage, job, residence, report better mental health, fewer mental and emotional problems, and they view social justice in ways that are consistent with binding moral foundations, etc. Liberals, however, have become less happy over the last several decades. But this decline is associated with increasingly secular attitudes and actions, less religiosity, less likelihood of being married. Conservatives generally score higher on internal control as well as the Protestant work ethic, which emphasizes the inherent meaningfulness and value of work, etc. It is positively associated with achievement. Liberals, on the other hand, are more likely to see outcomes as due to factors beyond one's personal control, including luck and properties of the social system, patriarchy, racism. Perceptions of internal control, self-efficacy, and the engagement in meaningful work are strongly related to life satisfaction. These differences in the two groups, there's gaps. And we see gaps in suicide rates and stuff like that. We see gaps. Look, when I'm talking, I've joined this political discussion Discord. It's been cool. And we're gonna do a Nick stream this week where I'm gonna be in that Discord discussing a whole bunch of things. We're gonna do that soon, probably tomorrow. And to discuss what I'm bringing up here further at length, because I can really go on about this. But when I'm talking to those people in that Discord, and they're self-harming and really in the dumps, they're progressives. A lot of the time they have the little anime profile picture, they have the little transgender thing, they have the little crazy hair thing going on, pink hair. And this is not to say conservatives don't have their issues. I really don't know how much of the gap is. I don't think it's that much, but it's significant enough for the New York Times to report on it. And what I can conclude from this, and something I bet you we all kind of knew already. I'm not saying anything new here, but a conclusion, something I can conclude from this, whatever conjecture, is when you have a sort of, I guess, structuring worldview, right? Something beyond yourself, something that structures and orders your life for you. It leads to a happier, if you will, more stable life, a life with more inner fulfillment, whether true or not, whether fake or false or not, whether real or not. If you at least have that belief, it seems to lead to, like I said, a stable life, a life, at least statistically speaking, less suicide, etc. And I was just kind of thinking about myself, how I've never really needed that. I've never been like a person who needs like social validation, for example. Like I'm unique in that way. I've never really needed like social validation. And I'll get back to that. I'm getting ahead of myself here. It seems like people need to believe in something, right? That's what you can conclude. People need something above them to order them and order their life. You hear about freedom, like we love freedom. I want to be free, but people don't really want that. People would rather, either their life figured out for them or the illusion of choice. I heard someone talk about this, the illusion of choice, right? They'd rather like options put in front of them, and then they get to pick out of those. And so that's something you can conclude from this. You're seeing these progressives with this laissez-faire attitude where anything goes, anything is anything, everything all at once, et cetera, et cetera. And then you find yourself not really being surprised that these progressives are offing themselves like this. You know what I mean? But it brings up an interesting conversation on the other side. It's like, well, then what is this structuring thing that conservatives have? Well, it's religion, sure. It's Christianity. And on the Bond Network on JLP's show, we talk about the reality of Christianity, right? Like how many people call themselves Christians and they're very far from it. That being said, though, when you have at least the semblance or I've heard it described this way: the letter of the law versus the law of the heart. So maybe you don't follow the law of the heart, the Christianity or whatever, but you have the letter of it and the written law to help you at least order your life. So that's the Bible without the wisdom of the heart. Am I making sense here? Anyways, I found this quite fascinating because I've just never really needed that. But I'm examining my life, I'm examining myself, and although social validation, that kind of pressure never really, I think I'm unique in that sense. The pressure of life, if I'm an honest person, the pressures of life, that's something that's a pressure that I do feel in my life. And it affects me and motivates me sometimes. what am I talking about there? Well, it's like, oh, you have to have money. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to look a certain way. Or not look a certain way, but you got to, when bills come up, when life comes at you, you're like, dang, I'm not prepared. I don't have the money for that. That kind of pressure. And so I'm getting from all this, it's like, well, conservatives, they like life more, for example. And so you can conclude people need to believe in something. And what is this? And this fits to what we've been talking about. What is the alternative that's been presented to everyone? The alternative is, well, like unfettered, just freedom. All things are possible. You can, what's it called? They call it libertarian, whatever, like being libertarian. Like you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. That means drugs. That means whatever. It's your life. But it's in practice, what it looks like is when people are presented with all this, they go nuts. They don't have that awareness and self-check where these pressures of life will push you in the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? So it's just interesting to think about for me, and I'm wondering what you guys think. It seems like people need something. And so how do you get that? How do you get that internal satisfaction in life? I mean, I guess I would say, Christianity. That's what I would say, right? My response. But how do you say that without being like, how do you say that without being in this authoritarian, like, you have to be, this country can only be Christian nationalists, which, if you ask me, that's kind of my camp. That's kind of where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? But how do you have, like, my question is what is the response then? Like, because I start thinking about, like, not your average progressive, but, like, I guess the leaders, the communist leaders. I think about what, and this is going to sound uneducated because maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but like a Stalin or a Pol Pot or whatever, I think of them as progressive communist leaders. Well, I feel like they understood what I'm talking about. They knew people need to believe in something, but it can't be God. It can't be Christianity. It has to be what we do. We'll give them something. We'll give them our own thing. How do you respond to that? How do you respond to that and say, well, no, you're wrong and I'm right? We need to be Christian nationalists. There's been a lot of talk about that lately. Christian nationalism. And so I want to discuss this topic at length, maybe tomorrow, or if you want to call in today. I got some stuff for more of a Nick Stream thing, not tomorrow's daily show, but an after hours Nick Stream thing, more long form discussion on that. Anyways, hope you find this interesting. I got one last thing to say about myself and something I learned. But first, I'm going to take a couple calls here. I got Renee from Los Angeles. Renee, you're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Nick.
What's up, Renee? How you doing?
Congratulations, dude.
Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, man. It's a very good intro.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It's original music. It's I got voice actors to say Anchor Baby and stuff.
yeah, that was very
nice.
Stuff.
Right on.
That was really cool, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I hope this thing keeps moving, the whole Bond thing.
Oh yeah, Bond network going up.
Joel's got his thing. Hate is on fire.
Always Hake on fire. Don't miss Joel. He's gonna be on tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing those subscribers go up. Let's get those subscribers up on Joel Friday TV. Catch him tomorrow at 11 a.m.
I know. I noticed that,
No, they're going. They're going.
Spark, very, very, it was a perfect topic today, about the whole drugs and
Yeah.
The whole Chicago, that fake politician, the guy with the, he looks like a burned out matchstick.
Yeah, yeah. Are we allowed to say that?
I don't know.
I'm playing. I'm messing with you. A burnt matchstick.
Okay.
You looking like a burnt matchstick. Boy.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Thank you, Renee.
Good
Appreciate
stuff.
that.
Yeah. Take another call, man.
Yes, sir. Pleasure, man. And call me again.
All right. You know, I'm learning new words every day.
Like?
Well, today I heard you say vernacular.
Oh, yeah. Vernacular.
Yeah. And then I went and I was like, I have to learn a new word as well, you know? Like, why not? If I'm going to stop reading, I should learn new words.
Add that to your vernacular.
What's up?
Add that one to your vernacular.
Yeah. So I went and I searched and I was like, oh man, all this thing is like risible, but my vernacular is expanding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's go. At least you learned something on the Anchor Baby Show.
So the word of the day was expanding, not vernacular or risible.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Kind of disappointing, but.
No. Well, right on, Renee. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, man. For sure.
Call me again. Take care.
Congratulations again, man.
Appreciate it.
You too.
Nice. And I'm going to take one more call here. I got the one and only. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm all excited. I'm doing my show. And there's people super chatting my little show, which is amazing. I'm very grateful. This is crazy. Let me start off with Renesio. Super chat on YouTube. I don't know a lot of big words. My vernacular is slim, but I memorized the alphabet. Oh, Renesio might be Renee. That makes sense. What's up? Appreciate the super chat. Yes, Gunner94 says the Dilbert guy was right. Scott Adams. Every day, Scott Adams is proven right over and over again. Steve Strzok with the super chat says supplements and hormones can help physical issues, but you cannot supplement your way out of spiritual issues. Congrats on the new time slot. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Depressed Toilet says, good to see you, Nick. Glad to see you doing the show all week. Congrats. Thank you very much. Willie Pal and Max Smiles with a couple of super chats there. Lord Bibby says, hit the like for that amazing intro. I'm glad you like that. And Jordan DeNicker says, Glizzy squats sound off. Shout out to all the Glizzers in the chat. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're going to have to tune into a Nick stream one of these days. But that's awesome. Thank you so much for the support. Let me take Maze out of Dayton, Ohio, the one and only. Maze, you're on the air.
Hello, Nick. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I hear you.
Oh, congratulations for your everyday show.
Thank you, Maze. Appreciate that.
Can I tell you what's wrong with America and something?
Please, please.
Because you should be able to get along with everybody, regardless of color, or minority, or majority. You should be able to have the same things and share. You got some people would have over their dead body before they be able to share anything because they only think one group of people can run America.
Okay.
You see how America works. You can't have new people come in, but you done took everything America had and took it over to some other country, and they own America. The people that you're looking at every day and trying to put blame on every day, they didn't have a part in that. And I would like somebody to shine and tell me and show me how they had a part in doing all these things.
Okay, I think I'm following. I think I'm following because you're saying that we should be able to share, we should be able to get along with all people.
Yes.
Okay.
All people.
And I think there's something, man.
Just because you did something to somebody, they don't mean they got to turn around and do it to you.
There's something Christian and manly about. There is something Christian about getting along with all people, but
they're not Christians because all they want is be the heathen. You don't do what the heathens did.
But what about people that are, let's say, for example, you know how oil and water doesn't mix, evil and good doesn't mix. Like, what about people that are that are against, you're because clearly when you say people that want to get along with everybody, clearly you're talking about Christians, you're talking about white people. That's what you're talking about, right?
Because those are the real type of people. They don't get along with nobody. They don't
okay. Now I'm understanding. Because clearly, when you just say it vaguely like that, like, oh, people that want to get along, I instantly I think about conservatives, I think about white people, I think about Christians, but that's not who you're talking about.
No, they're two of the same.
But
the conservatives and the liberals too.
Well, now that we got that out of the way,
they want to go along with.
Okay. Well, I want to get back to that.
They'll jump right over there. Just like look at Hillary and Bill when she was running. She jumped in the truck. What did she do?
What did she do?
She was being a conservative, and then she went back to be a liberal. So what I'm saying, one day one thing, the next day another. It's just like Trump. He used to be a Democrat, then he switched over to the Republican.
I'm following you, and I want to get to that.
Those things don't mean nothing to me because they two are the same. Two of the same people, just depending on what they feeling and how they feeling. And then you got these people running around following them like they Jesus himself. But then your Christians, if they were Christians, they'll be following God's law, and nothing that they do is in His law. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They want to take the Bible and look at it, but
I'm following you, Mace. I'm following you, and I want to get back to that. But you're talking about.
Let's do.
You were saying people that want to get along, and I kind of forgot now that because you were going off. You were saying the people that get along and all that. But what about if they don't want to get along with you? Let's say you're a Christian, and you're not talking about them, but let's say you're a Christian, a white person who are clearly the most accepting of people, clearly the most tolerant of people, and then the person you let in, the person you're trying to get along with, hates you. What are you supposed to do there? Like,
the person you're trying to get along with,
you just get along.
Hate you. The person that you're trying to get along with, as long as they're not trying to control you, you mind your business. Stay out of other people's business. If people want to do things, you get red line and everything else, and then you want to complain about, well, why do they have this and why do they have that? They had it because you didn't want them to be a part of what you had.
Fair enough, but it's the conservatives, it's the Christians who are the mind their own business types.
Yes, and then they're not going to.
And they minded their own business so much to the point that I've heard this said before, and I forget who said it, but it's. The side that just wants to be left alone is the side that will lose.
The side that want to be left alone and go around and help those that pretend to be Christians. They'll help them out of a rut, and they'll be in state of shock. But if you watch this daily news,
I think I agree with what you just said. If I might have misheard you, but if I heard you correctly, you're saying that those people should try and help the angry people out of a rut. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if they're Christian. But
that's a good point. You're right. You should be a light. You should be an example.
Because if you believe in God, you don't think ain't nobody. If you believing in God and you think God and you're a Christian and you thinking God gonna help you, it shouldn't matter what happened. If somebody come and taking over, it still matters to you. If you believe in God, why you gotta be worried and interfere? That's what I want, and that's why I think
that doesn't mean it's not about that. Okay.
Yes, it is.
How is it normal? Because you're talking about you referenced what I was saying about, I guess, immigrants and stuff like that. But how is it that that's such an abuse of this Christian tolerance? Because you're asking these people to do, what you're asking the Christians to do in this country is to take on the problems of the whole world at expense and cost of their own country and their own well-being. And here's one thing that you may not have realized, Maze, is that you can't help anybody. But number one, that's already true. You can't really help people like that. But number two, there's no way you can help anyone in any physical way or in any semblance of the word if you yourself are not okay. And what you're asking Christians to do is to, at the expense of themselves, somehow help other people. But that's not how that works. You cannot do that if you're not okay. And so
they're not Christians.
Why can't and thirdly, finally, and then I'll let you respond. The whole point, what I'm starting to understand of Christianity, it's not that you're going around helping people by being this generous person and being so Christian and loving and giving. I'm going to give you all this stuff. The whole point of the help that comes from Christianity is not in the way that you think. It's in simply pointing people back to reality, back to the inner world, and then they do the work themselves, them between God. And so, and when you see it in that way, then it's actually evil to be letting in all these people and letting them have the honey of America when they need to stay in their country and figure out their own thing. They need to stay in their country and figure out their own family life, figure out their own crime and their own, you know what I'm saying? That's the Christian thing.
I know what you're saying, but why are Americans over in their countries?
Hey, fair point. Fair point. Hey, look.
Running them out of their own country.
That's a fair point.
They can't even have peace in their own land.
America has their dirty hands, and when I say America in this case, I'm talking about the State Department. I'm talking about
that's what I'm saying.
The deep state, but that's not us, Maze. That doesn't mean that doesn't just suddenly mean because America, the State Department is doing evil things. Now we have to just open up the borders. That's just backwards. That's just doesn't even make any logical sense. That's like committing suicide. That's like committing suicide in the hopes that it'll help someone.
Come here just to be coming.
What?
Did the immigrants come here just because they wanted to be here, or did they want to leave their land to come here?
Yeah, they want to leave their place because their place is a S-hole, like Trump said, and they want to come here because it's nice. It's purely economic and purely selfish reasons.
And then when they get here, what treatments do they get?
What do you mean? They get treated nicely. They're protected class. What are you talking about? They get homes. They get free homes. They get free housing. They get put in front of the line. They get put in. They skip the line for in medical places. Like for example, they have Medicaid or whatever in California. They skip the line here because they're immigrants.
And they work here, and they help the economy. Don't they get money?
You know, I don't even think that's necessarily true. I don't even think that's necessarily true because they don't pay taxes and their costs to the system because they're here using the system, using the hospitals, using the what America has. The costs that these illegals cost to the system, crazy. They totally outweigh. Yeah, I am an anchor baby, and I'm against all anchor babies. Right? You can't use that against me. That doesn't bother me.
No, I don't call you no anchor baby. That's just what you call yourself. I have more respect than
well, thank you, Maze.
I don't care what you call yourself.
And I like that about you. You've always had. You love us. But what'd you say?
Don't you pay taxes?
I do. I'm not an illegal anchor baby. I pay my taxes.
There's a lot of people that's illegal do the same thing you do.
No, that's just not true. That's just not true.
Yes, it is true.
And they cost the cost that they incur on the system totally outweigh whatever they bring to the country.
Yeah, and so you saying whether it outweighs and how.
And that's besides the point. You're missing the fact that it totally is because even if they economically were in the positive for America, it's just wrong.
What's wrong about it?
Breaking into a place is wrong. Cutting the line is wrong. Not putting your shopping cart back when the place where it goes is wrong. That's not the decent culture, the decent white American culture that this place was built on.
You were talking about white American culture.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't want to live in white American culture. That's my problem.
But that is your culture. I call it white, but really it's American because the black culture is totally intertwined. Your culture, Maze. Your culture is intertwined, and you cannot remove it from what you call white culture. It's American.
What?
Your black culture, your culture. You grew up in this country, Maze.
All cultures that was born here. That's because Native Americans were here first, so it's their culture, and then anybody else that came along later.
Say that again. I missed it.
I said Native American culture. They was here first, but you didn't mention them.
No, they were the losers. They lost. They lost in that.
You don't even like them. They were born here.
I don't dislike them, but they're winners and losers, and they lost in that battle.
Well, that
was mutual combat. There was mutual combat, and they lost.
They retreated on. Yes, I bet they did lose. Somebody stole it. They belonged. And if they wanted
you could call it that. You could call it that, but that's literally every nation. You could call it that, but it's not really a slam dunk.
Right?
You're just describing reality.
I mean, that's right. That's reality. So when you say this is a white nation, it's not true. That's why I guess they don't want to see nobody in charge.
But you didn't hear what I just said. I mean, it's like blacks and whites. That is American culture. Like they're, what's the word I'm trying to say? Inexorably linked forever. That's how this nation was started. Maybe not forever, but they're linked.
got biracial kids here. Always had them. Didn't just start. And they were denied things that they should still be a part of with their families, but their family, some of their families still denying them.
Who was?
And it wasn't their fault because that happened.
Wait, who was denied stuff? Who's being denied stuff? You talking about the?
A lot of people with biracial kids from back in the day.
Like the natives,
No,
what I'm talking about, the indigenous peoples or whatever.
It was even illegal to get married to a white man.
But that's also not true. Look at me.
country.
That's just not true, Maze. Look at me.
Anyway.
I'm a full American citizen, and I shouldn't be, and I'm the son of an illegal immigrant.
You can have dual citizenship.
And I have every right that you have, if not more. I bet you maybe
I'm saying
more.
you can have dual citizenship, can't you?
I can, and I do.
Well, can everybody in America have it?
I see. The problem with my situation
Only
is
people
that
shouldn't have dual citizenship is Native Americans. Everybody else did not.
no, that's not a nation.
What?
That nation doesn't exist.
I mean, they can go back where they came from. You know,
Or they could be, or they can be grateful, or they can be grateful, and let go of this identity that's long gone, and they don't have to totally let it go. But what I'm trying to say here is they could just be grateful and just be an American first.
But you're gonna get the
Their lives will go a lot better. Their lives will already improve if they could just let that go and just be an American.
Identity that you have your mother and your father when you were growing up as a
Say
child.
that again, because I don't want to mishear you here, and I want to make sure we're conversing
the
here.
identity that you had when you was growing up with your mother and your father.
Say that one more time for me, Mace.
Well, I gotta say it again. You don't understand
Because
what
I want to
said?
make sure we're talking and not just saying things. I want to make sure we're conversing here.
Get rid of the identity that you had growing up with your mother and father. You want to get rid of that and act like it didn't happen.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Then
No.
that's what you're saying.
No. I'm just saying, you just be grateful. Okay, just be grateful. You're an American.
Be grateful.
Be grateful
Some
that
people
you're an
you don't have to
American.
need to be
Be grateful that you were
because
born in this country at this time, et cetera, et cetera.
Really, so you're supposed to be grateful because you were born in this country.
Yes.
What if you went to another country and they treated you better than the one you were born in?
But that's
And
not
you wanna
what.
be grateful
But that's
for
not my
those
situation.
because
I was
you're
born here. That's not my situation. I was born here, and that's how
I
my
didn't say
life
you.
is.
I didn't say you. I said, what if a person did that?
Then that would be their life. Then if they like,
And then they got the opportunity to go and be with
it
their
would
family
show.
and
It
do
would
things
show a
with
little bit
them.
of
You
a.
can't do
It would show a little bit of a. It would be a little bit disloyal. Is that even a word? It would be a little disloyal to their nation, but.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, look at me. My family, they moved around to different countries. Say that again.
And commit treason against this country. What do you got them? They don't love this country.
I'm just saying, if they want to abandon it and go somewhere else just because they treat them nicer, I mean, then go. Then fine, leave.
So I'm not looking to put nobody in slavery, and I'm not looking for nobody to try to put me in slavery. So I don't have that kind of fear.
Do you really believe that's at all in the horizon for you, slavery?
No, that's not in the horizon. And I'm not looking for no race war either, but some people are.
That's
to
true.
the death of them, they looking for a race war. For what?
That's true, and I know you agree with me. There should be less hate, not more.
How's going to be peace on earth and goodwill toward anybody when there's no peace on earth? Nowhere. They're fighting in different countries, each other now. But it's not for the same reason these nuts over here fighting. All they want to look at is in the news and blame black people for everything that's going on when it comes to crime. and you're supposed to overlook everybody else's crime and just look at the black crime. That's just like me looking at you, watching you for 30 days and putting it out there on TV every day and everybody hate Nick. And think Nick do this and Nick is just a harm person.
Well, I mean,
from the liberal and the conservative.
And I don't even think you're exactly wrong about what you're saying, but you're also making a lot of assumptions, like pointing out black crime would mean that you're ignoring anything else.
That way, Nick,
okay, when we point out black crime, it's because blacks are a protected class. Okay, this is a known thing, Maze. They're protected. They are. You can't criticize them. It's racist if you do. We're just breaking that mold, okay? We're just breaking that conditioning.
How you gonna be breaking the mold?
We're breaking that conditioning. That's what I meant. We're just breaking people out of that conditioning.
But you consider yourself as what?
I consider myself what?
Are you black? Are you white? Or are you Asian? Or what are you?
I'm ambiguous, as they call me.
Well, you're ambiguous, but you fit in with them. Put it that way.
I'm too black for the whites and too whites for the black.
That's the way the Germans think too.
That's what the what think?
They got sides that they pick. So
no, I'm on the side of right, okay? It's just about being right. It's not about being white. It just
It's
so
not
happens.
going back the way it used to be.
Huh?
It's not going to go back to where it used to be, regardless of who,
Yeah, I don't think
who's
it
got
will.
the biggest number of people, which has done before, if they knew the history. We're not going to poison people. We're not going to give them stuff in their neighborhoods to make them look like things that they did. So our neighborhood is tearing down too, but we don't want to look at it. How you going to keep a foundation up when yours is tearing down too? And looking at somebody else's foundation, but we can't discuss yours.
But that's not what nobody's. You're the one saying that, and this is the last thing. This will be the last thing before I move on. But you got to realize that's what you're saying. You're the one saying, in the very same breath, you're saying, you guys talk about black crime and da da da, and then in that same breath, you're like, oh, it's wrong to point out one foundation, not the other. But that's what you're doing.
No, that's not what I'm doing. Because if I was doing a show, I would be talking about everybody's crime, not just on one group of person like nobody else.
Then you do that on your show.
That's the way I
We're
would
just
do
breaking the people out of this conditioning where apparently you can't
you're not
criticize
breaking-
black
you're
people,
breaking the
and you
ones that
can't even
come-
talk about the reality that
I
black
can't
crime
even
is out
give
of
you no
control.
crimes that
Black
y'all
crime is
do.
out of control more
You
than
show it on your
any other
show.
group. That's just the reality.
That's what I'm saying.
And we talk
crime
about
that y'all
every
do.
race. Come on, stop
can't-
saying that,
you
Maze.
can
You've been
find- just
listening
like
to
you find the
you've been
black crime,
listening
you
to us
find
for
your
so
crime, but
long.
you won't show it.
You know better than that, Maze. You've been listening
need
to
to
us.
be aware of that,
No. It's Maze. I did not mean to drop Maze like that. That was rude. I didn't mean to click the red button like that, Maze. But I was just ending the conversation. I was just trying to tell you, Maze, you've been listening to us for so long, and you cannot say that. We talk about every race, okay? Yeah, okay, maybe there's a focus sometimes on black crime, maybe on Jesse's show or whatever. But no, you can't say that. You've been listening to us for long enough to know better than that. But I apologize. I did not mean to press the button like that. That was rude. Art from Ohio. Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Okay, first things first is when I ain't gonna even say no names or none of this. I just get so tired of hearing this. We morally straight. We want to help everybody. Female mindset. You know, it's hypocritical. And my thing is, I don't care. I don't care if the white people were out here doing a whole bunch of crime or whatnot, or this and that. My thing is this: it don't make it right for the black people to do it. White people should be out here doing all the evil that they want to do. That don't mean that you participate. My son, my nephew, the white kids can be in there hoorahing and throwing paper planes and spitballs all day. That don't mean that you do it. You there to learn. So what about white people? It don't matter what white people are doing. What are you dumb Negroes doing? Quit telling me about everybody. What are you doing? Nothing. But being a hypocrite and trying to just like the one president said, I don't ask what America can do for you. What can you do for America? Facts.
Yep.
Second thing is, where do you get off? You need to. Allegedly, she might be a Christian or whatnot, man. But I don't know what part of the Christianity she missing to where she thinking the Christians is just supposed to give up their whole country and be put, especially Negroes, be supposed to give up their country that was basically founded by European white settlers or whatnot. The Negroes are supposed to give up and be put to the back of the line and let everybody else come over here and jump the line for her.
Yep.
First thing, that's the first thing. So I don't understand where she's getting that. And if she was reading the Bible, she would know that the lost children, or whatever it's called or whatnot. Everybody else is supposed to be basically being against them,
right,
or whatnot. So they're basically supposed to be trying to basically steal what was left to the people of the Bible. So what she thinking? I don't know if she thinks that everybody, Mexicans, all these other, they're not Christians. I mean, they might talk a good game or whatnot. They might come over here and become Christians or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't. She's thinking that everybody's. My second thing is, yes, they are getting. They're basically being paid to come over here and whatnot, reaping the benefits. They're not working. So I don't understand where she's getting all this information from. And if they are working, you let me know what jobs that they got, because I don't see them or whatnot.
Right.
I mean, what you talking about? Warehouse jobs? I mean, that's probably just about it. But all these, they're working, they helping stimulate the economy. Honey, if they was helping stimulate the economy like that, or if they was that much of a benefit, then their countries that they're coming from, UK, Africa, Afghanistan, Mexico, their country would be better than America if they worked so hard. They wouldn't have to be coming over here to reap the benefits. these so-called whites that she don't want to live around a whole bunch of whites. But honey, you should have thought about that when you turned 18. You 60-something years old. You don't reap the benefits of allegedly European benefits and European that let Negroes help them, meaning Negroes help participate in the building of America. You don't want it now when you 60. But last time I checked, I guarantee your kids went to a white school. I guarantee your kids are driving white cars, a Chevy, a Chrysler.
Yeah.
You going to a white store to where white people are farming this food, slaughtering this food, because there ain't too many Negro farmers. So I mean,
that's true. What you're saying. Remember, they had that grant for black farmers, and it wasn't used that much.
Yeah. So I mean, you saying you don't want to live around a whole bunch of white people? You should have been thinking about that 60-something years ago when you turned 18. You could have went over to Africa.
Yeah.
Don't be saying just because you don't want to live around a whole bunch of white people and reap the benefits and whatnot. Plus, my second thing is, a lot of them other countries don't have no constitution, no police force. They look to America to learn how their police forces and how they're allegedly, I don't know about now because America's so corrupt right now or whatnot over this last generation. But if you listen at that last caller, I mean, you can clearly see why America's gonna fail in so much. But don't be sitting there saying that you don't want to live up under no white people or whatnot. No, don't mess it up for the next generation. No, we cool. I don't have no problem with no white people. If you got a problem with white people, you need to take your Negro family and y'all go over to Africa. While all the immigrants are trying to legally sneak in over here in America. And I don't want a whole bunch of illegals over here in America because most of them ain't doing nothing but raping, bringing fentanyl, and doing a whole bunch of extra other stuff to try to get over here in the land that they shouldn't be in, where they should be working on their own land. Most of them people that's coming across the border, they child trafficking. Most of the kids ain't theirs. So I don't know what Maze is getting her information from, but she need to open her damn ears and shut her dang on mouth and stop watching CNN because whoever she listening to don't know what the heck they talking about. I don't want my sons and my nephews growing up around a whole bunch of people that don't got enough common sense to know that we shouldn't be raping females as we come across to another country that we shouldn't even be in because it's against the law.
Yeah,
but you want to keep letting them in here.
Out of control Muslim rapes in Europe over there, and it's like even if they're not doing all that, they're just not Christian or they're just not American. They're just not like the people here, and any claim otherwise is just totally divorced from reality.
Yeah. They've been out here seeking and reaping all the benefits of white people and stuff that Joe Negro there. And that's what killed me about black people. Just like you said, Nick, how can you help somebody else if you ain't even helping yourself?
Yeah.
Our generation of Negroes set it up. So the only thing all the Negroes had to do was come out here and be decent citizens with morals and character and work jobs, and they would reap the benefit. They didn't set my Negro generation that was here that came out of slavery. They didn't set it up for everybody else. They set it up for our Negro generations to be just what I just said. It ain't for everybody, and then to put everybody in front of you to move yourself to the back or whatnot. So I don't know where she's getting her information from, and definitely Christianity ain't about that. Just like you said, and she need to open up that Bible and look and read. You don't fish for it, man. You teach the man how to fish and let him fish for his own stuff. So all that helping and putting yourself to the back of the line, I don't know where she's getting that information from, man. She need to open that Bible up and stop running her mouth.
Big time, Art. We need Christian nationalism to save maize. But here's another thing too I want to bring up. I wanted to point out here because Art, you've called my show a couple of times. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I just remembered the first call I had on this show, Mark from Los Angeles. He's talking about what he was saying. These Hebrews, they hate white people, but you, Art, you're not. I don't see you as a hateful person at all. Not in any way. Anyways, I'll just say that I've never seen you as someone that hates white people, that hates America, and or anything like that. And so, I think even right here is it's a poignant call in that sense as well, because it's proof that if we could just avoid hate, and that people are different, you know what I mean? Like that's still true. Is all I'm trying to say.
Well, I like good people. I don't care what color you are with. I just like good people or whatnot. And yeah, it ain't. You know, some Hank was saying I wanted to call him that. I'm a little under the weather or whatnot, but I'm shaking it off this hearing this last caller. But what about that? And that you want? I can't be. I think the Bible says you fight fire with fire, whatnot. You don't come being nice to the devil. So the Andrew Dorn, that police officer that was watching that thrift store, whatnot, when he was shot in the back of the head by another black dude, or that one Trump supporter, whatnot, that was shot by that liberal white or whatnot in a dispute. You can't try to. We can't take the moral ground when you sitting there getting killed by liberals. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, it sounds good, but you can sit here and be getting kicked and stomped in the face all you want, and while you on the ground getting stomped as much as you want to, and you see if they stop putting their feet and stomping your ears together while you on the ground, like, please don't kick me no more. I'm cool and whatnot. I'll get up and leave. And you see if they just get up and leave. You can't be more with people or beating you to death.
Totally, it's like people totally misconstrue that word too, like tolerance, and they make it so weak. Like it means like you just have to be okay with people hating you, and you have to be that's them and you're you. That's totally, I think, in my opinion, just a total misuse of that word. I see a loving Christian nation looking at people who hate them straight in the face and saying, you know what, I don't hate you, I love you. And I love you enough to tell you that your issue is not me, your issue is not racism, that your issue is anger, your issue is what you're going through, and you can come out of it. But if you're going to stay that way, if you're not going to come out of it, then we're not going to tolerate that. But here is the way out, and here is the treasure of freedom. It's yours if you want it. Get up and walk. But if you're going to decide otherwise, then you can't be here. You know what I mean?
Well,
they make that so weak. Like it's all we got to be tolerant.
Yeah, and being tolerant, but it's when a lot of stuff kick off, we're gonna see how everybody's acting or whatnot. Talking about martial law and stuff like that. It ain't gonna do nothing but hurt the American citizens. Why you keep trying to be nice to everybody? You know, I keep hearing some of these platforms or whatnot trying to come back and be like, oh, but why should they might have messed up and this and this. But it's the first time we ain't gonna be hard. No, you ain't understanding, sir or ma'am. No, they're been doing this, and they gonna continue to do it. And you keep trying to pacify and let the stuff slide, and it's getting worse. Because other people seeing what's going on, they feeling like they can take advantage and do the same thing or whatnot. Because ain't nobody being held accountable.
Right. It's just they've smartened up. They've smartened up. They know what's up. They know what they can get away with.
Yeah. And you know, something else, Maze, you always liking to talk about whatnot, blacks. We always, you always talking about blacks. I don't never talk about whites. Well, honey, I be on YouTube a lot, and I see and watch a lot of these little cop clips where they be in Washington called Wisconsin, and that's where a lot of them liberal Democrats is at, and Washington called Wisconsin or whatnot. You sit back and watch that or whatnot, and you understand that it ain't just only blacks, it's whites too or whatnot. But she just stuck in that delusion that all hate Nick or Jesse talk about it's only blacks. No, we know what white people are doing. Ain't nobody, you might not know because you only getting half the information from MSNBC and CNN and ABC and all them other liberal platforms and whatnot. But no, Artie knows what's going on. You need to figure out what's going on. But go ahead, Nick. I'll catch you later, buddy.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate your call as always. Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
All right.
Crazy. Great show. I mean, I'm saying great because I appreciate all your calls, and I'm very grateful. And I didn't expect to go 2 hours. Holy. The 2 hours already passed by that fast? How long have I been streaming? Oh, wow. Time flies. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave on this note. Because we're talking a lot about what's wrong with people, what's wrong with the blacks, what's wrong with the crime, what's wrong with the transgenders. We're talking about a lot of things here. And I'll leave on this note. I didn't even think I'd go 2 hours. It's been a pleasure. Make sure to follow me. I'll be back tomorrow at noon. I might even do a little long-form discussion at around 4 p.m. tomorrow as well on a more Nick stream, take a flight type of thing. And I'm going to leave on this note, but I want to even discuss maybe even this at length tomorrow as well. But something about growing. It's just a little thing I noticed, okay? I'm not trying to be all deep here. I'm not trying to preach. Call me and tell me if you think I'm preaching. and bring me back to reality. But it's really just a little thing I noticed. And if you see something about yourself, about life, about, you see a true thing about you, about yourself, or a true thing about life, about your life, really, try and make it personal. Keep it to yourself, okay? It's a little secret. Keep the little secret to yourself. Because when you talk about it, and I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I make this mistake a lot. Don't spoil your dinner, okay? Don't be a little kid and just go and tell people like, oh my God, this is how I'm going to change and this is how I'm going to be better. Keep it to yourself, because when you talk about it, you've already let it go. You've already lost it. And you never let it do its work on you. And you never become that thing. You talk about it and it sounds all nice, and this is probably even biblical, right? Like something about treasures, your treasures, if you pray out loud, your treasures in heaven, something like that. But I just really saw this, and you'll never become the thing. Am I making sense? And you don't know me. You guys don't know. You see me. You guys don't know me. You guys actually don't know me. You don't see me in my daily life. You just see me do the show. I'm one of the greatest plunderers of this treasure. Okay, so I know this to be true. So you see, for example, you see something in your relationship. This is a good example. In your relationship, you're dating your wife, and you're like, this has to change, actually. Keep it to yourself. You don't need to explain it. That shows actually faith. It shows a little bit of faith. You just see the thing and allow it to change. Because she's not even going to quite understand you, okay? You're going to try and explain yourself, and she's not going to see it. And you're going to see her not seeing it, and you've just created confusion. The pain is starting right where you are, and that's fine. And that's all I wanted to say. Just a little thing. I might expound on it tomorrow. It's been awesome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for watching the American Anchor Baby Show. Keep the little secret. Keep the little secret to yourself. Just keep it to yourself. Shut your mouth. Let it do its work. And this just reminded me of something else I wanted to say, but I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it for another show. All right, y'all. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for the support. Catch me tomorrow at 12. Catch Joel Friday TV tomorrow at 11. Always Hake Report at 9 a.m. as well. You know how it goes. And it's been a pleasure, y'all. I want to press the button here so I can outro, so I can do this little outro, but it's just not working. What the? So I'm going to do something a little weird. I'm going to walk off the camera so I can go press it over there. But this is me saying bye. Love y'all. Thank you for watching. Catch me tomorrow. Peace. I'm going to walk off. It's going to be weird, but you'll hear the outro here in a moment. Again, take care.
Isn't Nick a Mexican?
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
anchor baby. The whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
Hearts and minds. Hearts and minds this.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby.